Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to tackle something that you probably interact with almost every day, but might not give much thought to.
Hmm,
UPS's business model. We've got a whole stack of their reports and filings here.
you're telling me? It's a lot to unpack.
It really is.
But that's what we do here.
Yeah,
Think of us as your business decoders. We're here to sift through the jargon and reveal how UPS actually makes money. What their biggest costs are, and what keeps them ahead in a world that's overflowing with delivery options.
absolutely. So when we talk about business model, what does that even mean? What are we really trying to understand here?
We're trying to look at the engine that drives their success. How do they create value for customers? Translate that into revenue and manage all the costs of running a global delivery network. It's about understanding the key components that make this whole business tick.
So it's like a behind-the-scenes tour of their operations and financials and
Yeah.
their strategies.
Exactly. We're going beyond those brown trucks we see every day to understand the complex machinery that keeps those packages moving.
All right, let's get this engine running. Where do we even begin with a company as massive as UPS?
Well, I think a great place to start is by understanding their revenue streams. You know where the money's coming from. UPS primarily generates revenue through three main segments: U.S. domestic package, international package, and supply chain solutions.
So it's not just about those brown trucks delivering packages in the U.S.
Not at all.
Yeah.
While the U.S. domestic package segment is significant, it accounts for a big chunk of their revenue. The other two segments play a really crucial role in their global strategy.
Okay, so let's break down each of these segments. Let's
Yeah.
start with U.S. domestic package. That one seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, it does on the surface, but there are some nuances there. It includes everything from letters to packages that are shipped within the U.S. Interestingly, while overall volume in this segment declined in 2023, residential deliveries, particularly their SurePost service, actually surged, driven by new e-commerce customers.
SurePost, that's where they partner with the U.S. Postal Service for the final delivery, right?
Exactly.
Hmm, that's interesting. But is this shift towards e-commerce and residential deliveries actually profitable for UPS? Wouldn't the lower pricing for those individual packages kind of eat into their margins?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of trying to understand a business model. ShowPost likely offers lower margins per package compared to their more traditional services, but the sheer volume and their strategic integration with e-commerce platforms might make it a really profitable play in the long run. It's something worth taking a closer look at in their financials.
Yeah, for sure. So they're adapting to the changing landscape of online retail. But the profitability of that is a key question. What about international deliveries? The world is a pretty big place, and I imagine managing deliveries across borders is incredibly complex.
Oh, it definitely is. That's where the international package segment comes in. It handles deliveries to over 200 countries and territories, which represents a substantial portion of their revenue. But this segment faced some real headwinds in 2023. Because of geopolitical tensions, they actually had to suspend operations in Russia and Belarus and are currently liquidating their subsidiaries in those countries. Operations in Ukraine are also indefinitely suspended.
So even a global giant like UPS isn't immune to those geopolitical events. But are they just kind of holding steady in the international market? Or are they making moves to strengthen their position?
They're definitely not just sitting still. They've been enhancing customer engagement by integrating their network with all sorts of digital capabilities and focusing on key markets like healthcare and Asia trade lanes.
Hmm?
For example, they acquired MNX Global Logistics, which specializes in time-critical and temperature-sensitive logistics. That's a clear sign of their expansion into these specialized markets.
Interesting. So they're actively pursuing growth opportunities and diversifying their offerings. Okay, we've covered domestic and international deliveries. What about this supply chain solutions segment? It sounds a little bit mysterious.
This is where UPS goes beyond delivering packages and becomes more of a one-stop shop for businesses to manage their entire supply chains.
Wait, are you saying they're like orchestrating the whole movement of goods from the very beginning to the end?
Exactly. Imagine a business needs to manage their warehousing, transportation, inventory, even like high-value shipment insurance. UPS offers all of those services and more through its supply chain solutions segment. It's like they're stepping in to handle all the complexity so that businesses can focus on their core operations.
That's a whole other level of service that, honestly, I wasn't really aware of. It sounds like a strategic move to diversify their revenue streams and become more than just a delivery company.
Absolutely. And remember that investment in Commerce Hub we saw in the 2023 report? That's a software provider connecting retailers and brands with marketplaces and delivery providers. This acquisition really strengthens their position in the whole e-commerce ecosystem.
Wow. A software company? They're really branching out. It's like blurring the lines between a traditional delivery company and a tech-driven logistics provider.
It is.
But all of this expansion and diversification must come at a cost, right? What are some of the biggest expenses that they're facing?
That's a crucial question. And that leads us to the other side of the business model, the cost structure. UPS's financial reports reveal some key cost drivers. First and foremost is compensation and benefits for their massive workforce.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, with hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide, managing those costs must be a huge undertaking.
It is. And remember that new national master agreement with the Teamsters that was ratified in the third quarter of 2023? That includes pretty significant wage increases.
Right.
It really highlights the importance of human capital in their business model,
So taking care of their employees is a priority even if it comes at a cost.
right? Then there's purchase transportation. That's a major expense, and it reflects their reliance on third-party carriers, especially for air freight. And then, of course, fuel. Fuel is always a concern, especially with all the global price volatility.
Right.
They actually use fuel surcharges to help mitigate that risk, which is a pretty clever way to adjust their pricing based on those market conditions.
Hmm. So they're not just absorbing those fuel cost fluctuations, they're finding ways to share the burden.
Exactly.
But couldn't that backfire? I mean, wouldn't customers potentially switch to competitors who might choose to absorb some of those costs?
You've hit on a very crucial point. Fuel surcharges are pretty common in the industry,
Okay.
but it is a balancing act. They have to be very transparent with customers and ensure that those surcharges are seen as fair.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, it could push customers away. It's a risk that they need to manage very carefully.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got personnel, transportation, and fuel as major expenses. Anything else?
We can't forget about depreciation and amortization. That's a significant cost, and it's tied to their network of aircraft, vehicles, and facilities. Maintaining and eventually replacing those assets is an ongoing and expensive process.
Yeah, it's like this never-ending cycle of upkeep and upgrades.
It is.
Okay, so they're bringing in billions in revenue,
Mhm.
but they're also facing billions in expenses. What does that tell us about their overall profitability?
That's where we need to dig a little deeper into their financial statements. But before we do that, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about their customer value proposition. What makes UPS stand out in a market that's so crowded with all these different delivery options? What's their secret sauce?
Right. We all have multiple choices when it comes to shipping a package. Why choose UPS over the competition?
Yeah, their value proposition comes down to several key factors. First, their global reach and scale. Very few companies can match their ability to deliver packages practically anywhere in the world.
Hmm.
That's a huge advantage, especially for businesses with international operations.
It's like they built this global network that covers almost every corner of the planet.
Right.
But reach is only one part of the equation. What about the quality of service?
Yeah, that's another pillar of their value proposition, a reputation for reliability and service quality. They've earned trust over decades by consistently delivering packages on time and in good condition.
Hmm.
In a world where customers have really high expectations, that reputation is super valuable.
So it's not just about getting a package from point A to point B.
Yeah.
It's about doing it reliably and consistently and building trust along the way. Okay, so we've got global reach and reliability. What else?
Let's not forget their use of technology to enhance the customer experience. They have these really sophisticated digital platforms that offer real-time tracking, streamlined shipping processes, even customized delivery options.
So it's about giving customers more control and visibility and flexibility.
Yes, they're not just delivering packages, they're delivering peace of mind. And they're not resting on their laurels. They're always exploring new technologies and services to stay ahead.
Right.
For instance, their investments in areas like drone delivery and autonomous vehicles demonstrate a real commitment to innovation.
So they're not just reacting to the changing landscape. They're actively shaping the future of the industry.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered their revenue streams, their cost drivers, their customer value proposition. I'm getting a much clearer picture of their overall business model now. But we can't forget about the actual operations. the behind-the-scenes magic that makes all of this possible.
You're right. Understanding their operational activities is crucial to appreciating how they bring their business model to life. And that's where we'll head next, exploring the key activities that make UPS tick.
Okay, I'm intrigued. We've got the engine running, but now it's time to open the hood and see how all the parts work together.
Right. Let's start by taking a closer look at their transportation network. This is really the veins and arteries of their whole operation. It's a complex web that spans, air, ground, even rail. It allows them to move all these packages seamlessly, across continents and also within neighborhoods.
It really is mind-boggling when you think about the scale of their network. I mean, we see
Right.
those brown trucks everywhere, but there's so much more happening that we don't see.
Exactly. Their air fleet, for instance, is massive. They own and operate hundreds of cargo planes, crisscrossing the globe, connecting major hubs, facilitating international deliveries.
Right?
And their 2024 report actually highlighted their continued efforts to modernize their fleet. This includes plans to retire several of their older MD-11 aircraft.
It makes sense. Upgrading their fleet not only improves efficiency, but it also helps them with their sustainability goals.
Exactly.
But how do they decide which aircraft to retire and what to replace them with? I mean, it seems like that would involve some really complex calculations.
It's a strategic balancing act. They have to weigh factors like fuel efficiency, cargo capacity, route optimization, even the availability of newer, more sustainable aircraft. Ultimately, it's about maximizing operational efficiency while minimizing their environmental impact.
So it's not just about, buying shiny new planes.
Right.
It's about making strategic decisions that align with their overall business goals.
Exactly. Every aircraft acquisition or retirement has ripple effects throughout their entire network. It can impact capacity delivery times fuel consumption, even their ability to open up new routes and new
Oh,
markets.
wow.
It's a high-stakes chess game, and they need to be thinking several moves ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so their air fleet is obviously crucial, but let's not forget about those iconic brown trucks.
Right.
Managing a fleet of, what is it, like 135,000 delivery vehicles, that's got to be a logistical nightmare.
It's no easy feat,
Hmm.
but it's a real testament to their operational expertise. And just like with their aircraft, we see their commitment to sustainability shining through in their ground fleet management as well.
Yeah, I remember reading about their investments in alternative fuel vehicles.
Hmm.
They're incorporating electric and hybrid trucks into their fleet and
Mhm.
trying to move away from traditional gasoline and diesel ride.
Yeah, they're aiming for carbon neutrality, which involves electrifying their fleet, optimizing delivery routes to reduce mileage, and even exploring those alternative delivery methods like drones and autonomous vehicles.
It's pretty impressive how they're integrating sustainability into their operations without, it seems, compromising efficiency.
It is.
But speaking of efficiency, one can't help but wonder about the labor costs that are associated with running such a vast operation.
That's a key point. Their workforce is their most valuable asset, but it's also a significant cost driver. Remember that new national master agreement with the Teamsters we were talking about earlier?
The one with the significant wage increase.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really shows their commitment to their employees. But how do they balance that commitment with the need to control costs and remain competitive?
right. That's a tough one.
It is. They're increasingly turning to automation and process optimization to improve efficiency and manage those labor costs. They're implementing all sorts of advanced technologies in their sorting facilities, optimizing delivery routes, even exploring the use of robotics in their warehouses.
So they're embracing technology not just to enhance the customer experience, but also to streamline their operations and improve their bottom line.
Exactly.
But couldn't all this lead to, job displacement? What happens to their workforce if machines start doing more of the work?
It's a valid concern. And it's a broader societal question that we're all kind of grappling with as automation advances. It's not just about replacing jobs. It's about upskilling and retraining their workforce for the jobs of the future. It's about preparing them for a world where human and machines will be working side by side.
So it's about adapting their workforce strategy to this changing technological landscape.
Okay, so we've talked about their transportation network, their sustainability efforts,
Yeah.
the challenges of managing labor costs. What else makes their operations so incredibly efficient? Their package flow management is truly a marvel of logistics. Think about it, millions of packages enter their system every single day, and each one needs to be sorted, routed, and delivered on time. And they have to do all of that while minimizing costs and maximizing efficiency.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. How do they even begin to tackle such a complex task?
It starts with their package pickup and sortation process. Packages are collected from customers, scanned, labeled, and then routed to the appropriate facilities.
So it's about getting those packages on the right track from the very beginning. Then what happens?
That's where their hub and spoke system comes into play. It's a model that really revolutionized the transportation industry.
I've definitely heard that term before, but I'll admit I'm not entirely clear on how it works. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. Imagine a bicycle wheel with a central hub and spokes radiating outward. In UPS's case, that hub is a central sorting facility, and the spokes are the routes that connect to various destinations. Packages are transported from those spokes to the hub they're sorted and then sent back out along the appropriate spokes for delivery.
Oh, so instead of sending packages directly between every single origin and destination, they consolidate and sort them at these central hubs.
Exactly, and that makes the whole process much more efficient. The system allows them to optimize routes, reduce handling time, and maximize the use of their transportation assets.
It's a key ingredient in their operational efficiency.
It is.
It's like a giant, well-coordinated dance with all these packages flowing seamlessly through their network.
It is.
But what about that last leg of the journey? Getting those packages from those local facilities to their final destinations.
That's the domain of what's called their last mile delivery network, and it's often the most challenging and expensive part of the entire process.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's about navigating all those congested city streets, dealing with traffic parking and the complexities of delivering to, individual homes and businesses.
It is. Last mile delivery requires real-time monitoring, dynamic route planning, a very flexible workforce to handle the unpredictable nature of those urban environments.
So they're using technology to optimize those routes, track deliveries, even communicate with drivers in real time. It's like they're bringing the control tower right into the delivery truck.
They are. And they're always experimenting with new technologies and delivery models to improve efficiency and reduce costs in that crucial last mile.
This deep dive into their operations is giving me a whole new appreciation for just how complex it is to deliver millions of packages every single day. It's a symphony of logistics with every instrument playing its part to create this harmonious flow of goods.
Yeah, it's a testament to their operational expertise and their relentless focus on efficiency. But let's not forget about the human element in all of this. Behind those really sophisticated systems and technologies are dedicated individuals who make it all happen.
That's a great point. We can't overlook the role of their customer service representatives, the people who answer all the questions, resolve issues, and ensure a positive experience for the customers.
Absolutely. They're the face of UPS, the ones who interact directly with customers and represent the brand. They play a vital role in maintaining customer satisfaction and loyalty.
So it's not just about technology and efficiency, it's also about human interaction and building those relationships.
It is.
It's about creating a seamless and positive experience for customers from start to finish.
You got it. They invest heavily in training their customer service representatives, empowering them to handle a wide range of inquiries and provide quick and effective solutions.
So it's about having knowledgeable and helpful representatives who can truly understand and meet the needs of their customers.
Exactly. They're the frontline ambassadors for the UPS brand,
Yeah.
and their performance directly impacts customer perception and satisfaction.
Okay. We've covered their transportation network, their package flow management, their last mile delivery network, the importance of customer service. Anything else we need to consider when analyzing their operations?
There is one more piece of the puzzle that deserves our attention: their investments in technology and innovation. We've kind of touched on this throughout our discussion, but it's worth highlighting how these investments are really transforming their operations and shaping the future of the entire industry.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all ears. We've already seen how they're using technology to optimize routes, track packages, enhance the customer experience.
Right.
Where else are they really pushing the boundaries?
They're exploring all these cutting-edge technologies like automation robotics, data analytics, artificial intelligence to further streamline their operations, reduce costs, and improve efficiency. They're even experimenting with things like 3D printing and blockchain technology to try to create new value propositions and disrupt the traditional logistics model.
It sounds like they're not just keeping up with technology, they're actively shaping its application in the logistics industry.
Exactly. They're trying to build a future where packages are delivered faster, more efficiently, and with a lower environmental impact. They're always experimenting and testing and iterating to stay ahead.
This deep dive into their operations has been really fascinating. It's like peeling back the layers of a really complex machine and seeing all the intricate gears working together.
It is.
It's clear that their success isn't just about delivering packages, it's about operational excellence, technological innovation, and a deep understanding of their customers' needs.
You hit the nail on the head. Their operational model is a testament to their strategic planning, their commitment to efficiency, and their constant pursuit of innovation.
Okay, so we've explored their revenue streams, their cost drivers, their customer value proposition, and all their critical operational activities. We've pretty much dissected their business model from every angle.
We have.
But we can't forget about the bottom line.
Right.
How do all of these elements actually translate into their financial performance?
That's a great question. And it brings us to the heart of the matter. A business model, no matter how impressive, needs to generate profits to be considered successful.
Right.
So let's take a look at their financials and see how UPS stacks up.
All right. Let's open up the books and see how those billions in revenue and expenses translate into profit. All right. Let's open up the books and see how those billions in revenue and expenses translate into profit.
Well, first things first, their 2023 revenue figures are pretty impressive. They exceeded $90 billion. That really speaks volumes about their global reach and the effectiveness of their multifaceted business model.
That's a staggering number. But revenue's only part of the story, right? What about their profitability? Are they actually making money after accounting for all those expenses we talked about?
Yeah, their operating profit for 2023 was over $610 billion. So that means that even after covering the costs of running their massive operation, they're still generating some pretty significant returns.
That's a really healthy sign. But it's not just about the absolute numbers, is it? How does their profitability compare to previous years? Are they on an upward trajectory or are they facing some headwinds?
Looking back over the past few years, both their revenue and operating profit have fluctuated.
Hmm.
They face challenges like economic downturns, trade wars, even a global pandemic.
So it hasn't exactly been a smooth ride. But have they been able to kind of weather those storms and maintain a healthy level of profitability?
Their resilience is remarkable. Despite all those external pressures, they've consistently generated positive operating profits, which I think really demonstrates their ability to adapt and navigate those challenging environments.
Yeah, that is reassuring to hear. But let's dig a little bit deeper into these numbers. What are some key metrics we can use to assess their profitability beyond just revenue and profit figures?
One crucial metric is their operating margin, which measures profitability relative to revenue. Essentially, it tells us how much profit they generate for every dollar of revenue that they earn. In 2023, their operating margin was around 18%.
Okay. And is that good? How does that compare to kind of industry standards?
An 18% operating margin is quite healthy for the logistics industry. It suggests they're managing their costs effectively and generating a good return on their investments.
That's great. But I'm also curious about the trend. Has their operating margin been stable over time, or are there signs of improvement or decline?
If you look back, their operating margin has fluctuated somewhat, due to factors like fuel price volatility, labor cost competition. However, they have managed to maintain a pretty consistent margin overall. And that indicates to me their ability to adapt and control costs, even in those dynamic market conditions.
Yeah. It's impressive how they've been able to maintain profitability even as they invest so heavily in things like technology and sustainability. Are those investments reflected in their financial performance yet?
Well, it's important to remember that investments in things like fleet modernization, automation, and sustainability initiatives often have a long-term payoff. So while we might not see immediate impacts on their bottom line, those strategic decisions are laying the foundation for future growth and enhanced profitability.
It's a good reminder that financial performance isn't just about short-term gains. It's about making strategic investments that will pay off down the road.
Okay, so we've looked at revenue, profit, operating margin. What other aspects of their financials should we be looking at?
Well, we should take a look at their balance sheet, which provides a snapshot of their assets, liabilities, and equity. It helps us understand their financial strength and stability.
So it's like a health checkup for their finances.
Exactly. It tells us if they have enough resources to cover their debts, invest in growth, and weather economic storms. One key indicator here is their liquidity, which is their ability to meet short-term financial obligations.
Yeah. So do they have enough cash on hand to pay their bills and keep the operation running smoothly? Looking at their balance sheet, it's clear that UPS maintains a very healthy level of liquidity. They have ample cash reserves and a strong track record of cash flow generation.
That's good to hear. But liquidity is just one aspect. What about their long-term financial stability? How much debt do they carry, and is it manageable?
Their balance sheet shows they have a very manageable level of debt. They're not overly leveraged, which indicates that they can comfortably service their debt obligations without jeopardizing their financial stability.
So they're not drowning in debt. That's a relief.
Yeah.
But we also talked about their acquisitions like M&X Global Logistics. Those must have involved some pretty significant financial transactions. How have those impacted their balance sheet?
You're right. Acquisitions often require substantial funding. In UPS's case, they finance these acquisitions through a combination of cash reserves and debt. So we do see both assets and liabilities on their balance sheet reflect those strategic decisions.
It's a good reminder that their financial position is dynamic, constantly evolving as they make those strategic moves and investments. Okay, we've looked at their balance sheet. What other financial statements can give us insights into their overall health?
Their cash flow statement is really essential. It tracks the flow of cash both in and out of the business, and it provides a clear picture of their ability to generate cash and manage their resources effectively.
So it's not just about profit on paper. It's about the actual cash flow.
Exactly. A strong positive operating cash flow, which UPS consistently demonstrates, indicates a healthy and sustainable business model. They're generating enough cash from their core operations to cover their expenses, invest in growth, and even return value to shareholders through dividends.
So they're not just surviving, they're thriving.
hmm
Okay, we've covered their revenue, profitability, balance sheet, cash flow statement. I feel like we've thoroughly examined their financial performance. But what about the future? What are their long-term prospects for growth and continued success?
Well, predicting the future is always a bit tricky, but we can analyze trends and identify potential opportunities and challenges. For instance, the continued growth of e-commerce is a significant tailwind for UPS.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. As more people shop online, the demand for package deliveries is just going to keep increasing.
Right. And UPS is really well positioned to capture that growing market. Their investments in their last mile delivery network, their digital platforms, their expansion into new markets are all geared towards capitalizing on that trend.
So they're not just riding the wave of e-commerce, they're actively paddling to stay ahead of the competition.
Exactly. But they're also very aware of the challenges. Competition in the logistics industry is fierce, with new players emerging all the time. And the rapid pace of technological change means they need to constantly innovate and adapt just to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's like running a marathon, not a sprint. They need to maintain that sustainable pace, conserve their energy, and constantly adjust their strategy.
That's a great analogy. And let's not forget the increasing pressure to operate sustainably. Consumers and investors are demanding more environmentally responsible practices, and UPS needs to continue to demonstrate leadership in this area.
So it's not just about delivering packages efficiently, it's about doing so in a way that minimizes their environmental footprint.
Absolutely. It's about balancing profitability with responsibility, ensuring that their business practices are not only financially sound, but also environmentally and socially sustainable.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from unpacking boxes to unpacking this really complex and fascinating business model.
It has.
We've explored their revenue streams, their costs, their operations, their financials, and their future prospects. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding now of how this global giant operates.
It's been a pleasure exploring the world of UPS with you. It really is amazing how much goes on behind the scenes to ensure that those packages arrive at our doorsteps on time.
Yeah, it's easy to take those brown trucks for granted, but now I see them in a whole new light.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I have one last question. We've talked a lot about their strengths, but what about their weaknesses? What are some potential challenges that they face that could actually threaten their future success?
That's an excellent question. Every company, even one as successful as UPS, has vulnerabilities. One potential challenge is their reliance on Amazon for a significant portion of their revenue.
Oh, you're right. I remember reading about that. Amazon's a huge customer for them. And if they were to significantly reduce their reliance on UPS, it could have a real impact.
It could. While that relationship is currently mutually beneficial, it does create a degree of dependence that UPS needs to manage very carefully. Another challenge is the rising cost of labor. We discussed the new National Master Agreement with the Teamsters and the significant wage increases that were included in that agreement. And while that is a positive thing for their workforce, it does put pressure on their margins.
So they need to find ways to kind of offset those rising costs, perhaps through, increased automation and efficiency improvements.
That's one approach. They also need to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technological advancements. The logistics industry is evolving so rapidly, and new players are emerging with disruptive business models. UPS has to constantly innovate and adapt to maintain its competitive edge.
It's a reminder that even giants can fall if they become complacent.
Right.
They need to stay agile and proactive, anticipating future trends and embracing new technologies.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the increasing focus on sustainability. Consumers are demanding more environmentally responsible practices from the companies they do business with, and investors are increasingly factoring sustainability into their decision making. UPS really needs to continue to push the envelope in this area to maintain its reputation as a leader.
So it's not just about delivering packages, it's about doing so in a way that's good for the planet and ultimately good for their long-term prospects.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where profitability, efficiency, and sustainability intersect.
This final discussion has really rounded out our understanding of UPS. It's clear that they face challenges just like any other company. But their track record of innovation, their commitment to their workforce, and their strategic vision, I think give them a very strong foundation for future success.
It's been a fascinating journey into the world of UPS. They're a company that constantly strives to deliver more than just packages. They're delivering progress, innovation, and a vision for a more connected and sustainable future.
Well said. This deep dive has certainly given me a lot to think about. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this journey into the inner workings of UPS. It's a reminder that even the most familiar companies often have these fascinating stories hidden beneath the surface.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.